Good morning. My name's Lorene. Welcome to Books at the Bottom of the Stairs. Today is a pretty important day for us in the house of Van Lierop Manel. We are going to start Steve's year-long sabbatical tomorrow. Today is the last day of work for him, and he's going to have a Zoom farewell party. I'm not sure how that's going to go. He's taking a glass of beer to his office in the house, and I don't know, I guess they'll just keep saying cheers, goodbye, until finally the beer is all gone. But I'm not sure how you party on Zoom. I haven't tried it yet. So that's one great big important thing for us, and we are going to scoot to our camp, which is not that far from the house, but it doesn't have any internet or any electricity. So I will be videoing off of the battery and in the wilds, as it were, and whenever I go to town, and if hopefully the local little grocery store cafe is open, that's the closest I can get to Wi-Fi. So posting could be a little bit erratic for the next 8 to 10 weeks, but I'll do my best to be here on Tuesdays, more or less, and it should be kind of fun to be doing videos in nature. So I have two things today. I've got my pile of camp books. I'm kind of anxious. There's only 5 books here, and one of them's nonfiction. And I don't know. It doesn't feel good. The libraries are going to be opening up on July 7th here, but at the moment we can't put anything on hold. And that's my safety net, is my holds list at the library. So not having that available is like, it's really making me tense. And interestingly, we do not have any used books in the city of Halifax. Sorry, used bookstores. Now, Value Village has got a huge wall of used books, but I think in the moment of COVID, that is just not the place to go. Their hygiene is not that great at the best of times, and from what I understand, there is almost no protective barriers anywhere. It's pretty much survival of the fittest. And so I just don't feel like browsing their bookshelves. And the next nearest used bookstore is over in Dartmouth. That's not really a problem. I mean, if I have to get in a car to get to a bookstore, it doesn't really matter. But I used to shop in that bookstore when it was still in Halifax, and I just found they had too many. I don't know what the new store is like. They have been there for 5 years. It's been that long since I've gone. But in the old store, they just had so many stacks of books. It was kind of claustrophobic. I just couldn't really happily look at books. And then the next nearest one is in Lunenburg, and we do go to that one because it's a combination of new books, old books, and our daughter knows the owner. So it's kind of a fun little summer road trip. We'll stop for an ice cream along the way, and we'll pick up some good used books. And one of the good things about his used bookstore is that he kind of caters to the sailing crowd, in the sense that there's a lot more, I don't really know what the right word is, substantial books, in the sense like you're not getting just every old dime store novel from the grocery store. It tends to be a little bit more expensive in the first place, and so and then also he's pretty good about paying attention to having more than just 1 or 2 books of a series. He tries really hard to have, the first, second, third, so you don't have to start in the middle or what have you. Anyways, that's our used bookstore opportunity. We are going to see if we can sneak into the local library in the town of Liverpool. We do pay taxes there, so we're hoping we can get a library card, and maybe that will help us out. Anyways, what I have to read for, I've spoken of some of these. What I'm going to start with, and I've been looking forward to this for quite a while, is Marie-Claire Blais, Mad Shadows. She's a Canadian author, started writing in the 1960s, French-Canadian, and this caused quite a furore when it first came out. I did read it back in probably the 80s, so yeah, I'm looking forward to rereading it. That's a reread for me. This is also a reread, Tony Hillerman, Dance Hall of the Dead. It's the first one in the series. I read this a million years ago, back when the kids were just babies and basically flew into the library and just grabbed whatever was brand new off the shelves because I didn't have time to linger. It was mostly, you know, put the kids downstairs, lock up the stroller, run up to the new releases, grab 3 books, and hope for the best. So I did enjoy Tony Hillerman, so hopefully that will be a good reread. But again, it's like a reread, and those either go really fast or you just go, ugh, that's no good. The next one is Longborn by Joe Baker. I've been looking forward to this quite a while. It's about the downstairs lives of the servants in the, my goodness, is it in the Austen? Oh no, it's Elizabeth Bennet's family's, so it's fictional. I am a little burned out on Jane Austen, some unfortunate selections in the early part of the year, so I'm hoping I'm not sort of already bored before I even start this, but it has been on my reading list for at least a year, so I am looking forward to that one. This is another one that I've had on my list for quite a while, and it is The Matter of Desire by Edmundo Paz Soldan, and I believe he is from Bolivia. Yes, it says right here, Bolivia. And what happened a long time ago, I started to follow a girl called London Girl Reading, I believe, and she had done a project where she was reading her way through the different countries, and I decided to start on South America, and then trying to get the books in translation, I started to get stalled. So anyways, this is a book in translation, and it's the story of Pedro, a Bolivian-American political scientist who teaches at the university in upstate New York. Having become entangled in an erotically charged romance with Ashley, a beautiful red-headed graduate student, he returns to Bolivia to seek answers to his own life by investigating the mysteries of his father's past, trapped in 2 cultures. So I think that could be quite interesting. I have enjoyed the books that she recommended, and I'm going to see whether that's still live. That's a few years ago now, so if it's still live, I will link it in the doobly-doo. So this last book I have is nonfiction. Although she's just such a beautiful writer, it's not like you're reading fact upon fact. She's got just a beautiful way of sequencing her thoughts and observations along with the science. And it's called Braiding Sweetgrass by Robin Wall Kimmerer. And these are a selection of essays, I guess you could say. I'm not really sure how far, you know, if it's, yeah, I really don't know very much about it. It was recommended to me on the basis of a different book that I'm still finishing off about moss. And I think I'm looking forward to this. She's a First Nations writer. And I keep wanting to say she's Canadian, but you know, I think I might be a liar on that one. Yeah, doesn't, she lives in New York, but where she was born, I'm not clear on. Anyways, that just seems like such a small pile for the first week. I'm kind of anxious. And the other trick is that I used to rely on Steve's stash. There usually would be 1 or 2 in there that I could think, oh, well, if I really get through this quickly or get a stinky one, then I can read his books. But he's begging off of my books because he hasn't been quite as focused on this little anxiety. Well, the other thing I want to talk to you about is The Lovely War. This is a book by Julie Berry. She has also written All the Truth That's in Me and The Passion of Dulce. Now, The Passion of Dulce is in the pile for August, if I'm not mistaken. And so what do I think about this? But this is kind of funny. If you like gods and goddesses, you're going to love this book. Not my favorite. I find them kind of repetitive and one-dimensional. I don't find that, you know, like the God of War is just the God of War. He doesn't, just one-dimensional. He doesn't have any nuance about it. I mean, he's not even the God of guerrilla warfare, you know? It's just this great big over-sweeping statement, and we only know about World War I, World War II, and small conflicts, but there's no subtlety, there's no tactics, there's no what would you even say, you know, alliances and then treachery so that they alliances. Anyways, he's boring, and so is Aphrodite. She's all about love, and it mostly has to do with lust. And I frankly it annoys the hell out of me that some goddess, for her own entertainment, is going to, you know, ping a few little godlike thingamajiggies at humans, and they're going to fall in love, and she's either going to obstruct that or she's going to facilitate that, and then somehow another god gets into it, and so it really becomes more a story about the gods and the goddesses just screwing around, and it just irritates the hell out of me. I don't get it. But anyhow, this isn't just about that. But if you don't like gods and goddesses, don't pick this one up. This is about four mortals who have come to know each other through the course of World War I. And let me see, I'll give you their actual names: Hazel, James, Aubrey, and Colette. Now, Hazel and James are two British young people, and they meet each other just as he's about to go off to war. She's a pianist, and he is sort of just an every, you know, the guy next door kind of Brit. So they fall in love, and it's one of those passionate boom bada bing kind of things. And the war gets in the way, of course, and so we're following their love travails and successes. Then we come upon Aubrey, who is a neat black well, I don't know if he really starts out as a jazz pianist. He starts out with his mom teaching him, and so his comes from more traditional music, but as time goes by, he's encountering jazz and rhythm and blues, and he's a composer in his own right, and he has joined the, I think it's the 25th Battalion in the U.S. Army to come and help in World War I, but most regiments of color were just sent to make railroads and do the grunt work. So he's in the band though, so he gets a slight pass around all of that and is part of the entertainments for the troops that are on relief or, you know, in the hospitals, that kind of thing. So that's how we meet Aubrey, and he bumps into Colette, who through another circle of events has become Hazel's good friend, as Hazel is in France doing work with the YMCA. So the four eventually come together. There's a lot of, you know, departures and comings together as a result of the war, as a result of young and foolishness, insecurities, and then the gods and the goddesses, you know, stick their toes in whenever they feel like it. So I'm being unfair. I think that this story is very well told. I think that her writing is really good. She's plotted this very well. We're getting 6 distinct voices in here, but I don't find the, it's just, for me, it's just all very superficial. We don't really get a sense of the war. We do get a good sense of the individual emotional traumas and joys. That's well done. Don't get a terrific sense of the scenery, and I don't know, it just, everything to me just felt a little bit on the surface. I will say that as the book continued, I got more engrossed, and I think that's because we start to see the voice of the 4 characters more than the gods and goddesses, and I found, well, obviously by now you figured it out, I find the humans more interesting. So by the end of the book, I found the ending a little bit surprising, and then it had just a last minute, yeah. Anyways, I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5. It's very readable, and certainly if you haven't got anything else to read, then, you know, it's just a fine book. I think that for a lot of people, they really enjoy it. Just me being a bit of a crabatha about that. Now, the Dolores one is quite a different. Passion of Dulce. Yes, Passion of Dulce is a totally different book. And so I'm quite interested to see how she writes with the ingredients that I'm more interested in. This has to do with humans who are fleeing in the face of being accused of witchcraftery and that sort of thing. So totally different kind of a story. So we'll see how that one goes in relationship, because yeah, she's certainly a good writer. Well, that's it for me. I should be back to you sometime next week if the electronics and internet are all forgiving, and I hope that your reading dreams and adventures continue to come true. Bye-bye for now.